Only Disney villains are allowed to do this. First, unlike everyone else, villains have the very rare Disney privilege of saying no, whether it's a hug, a handshake, or an autograph. Why, you ask? Because Darth Vader doesn't do cuddles. Next, while every other cast member has to act all sunshine and rainbows, villains get to roast people for a living. They improvise witty insults, tease guests, and make grown men cry, all without a single HR complaint. But the biggest curse about being a Disney villain is that if an adorable child walks in and takes all of his courage to ask for a hug, you can't break character and become nice. 3 Disneyland rules that don't actually exist. First, contrary to popular beliefs, line holding isn't a punishable offense at Disneyland. You can hold a spot for someone as long as you're reasonable about it. There isn't exactly an official rule, but if you bring 10 people along with you, that's a different story. Next, Disneyland doesn't exactly ban gum at the park. You won't get searched for gum at the gate. They just simply don't sell it because most people would stick it anywhere else but a trash can. Lastly, some people believe if you leave Disneyland to take a short break, you won't be able to come back again later on. But they do accept re-entries unless the park is at full capacity or you tried entering the next day. 3 crazy rules that can get Disney princesses fired. First, fixing wigs or costume pieces while on stage in front of guests is a huge no-no. Disney wants the illusion of perfection, not Snow White wrestling with a bobby pin mid-autograph. Next, princesses can't step outside their themed area while in costume, even if it's just to grab water. If Cinderella is seen wandering near Galaxy's Edge, it's a timeline error worthy of immediate exile. Lastly, Disney wants characters to look identical every day, so if you gain a few pounds on the holidays, it can mean a reassignment back to the dog suit. The scale, not the glass slipper, decides your fate. 3 Disneyland secrets that were never real. First, some guests love repeating that Disneyland has a secret underground tunnel system under Main Street, like some spy base called the Utilidors. But that's actually in Florida's Magic Kingdom, not California. Next, there's another secret stating that the clock inside Sleeping Beauty's castle has been frozen at the time Walt Disney died. But while the clock is real, it's always been stuck in that same position, even when Walt was still alive. And finally, have a Disney day isn't an official insult, but cast members definitely get the joke. Online fans and XCMs use it as a code for smiling through the chaos, but on stage it's still just the polite, squeaky clean farewell it was meant to be. 3 Disneyland secrets cast members aren't allowed to tell you. First, Disney keeps many of its stores much colder than the rest of the establishment. This is because when guests get chilly, they're more likely to grab a sweater, sweatshirt, or a blanket. Next, sometimes when a ride gets too overloaded, they will be marked as temporarily closed, not because they're broken, but to reduce crowd size. Lastly, clap boxes are a long-running cast member joke and a nightmare. They're little boxes where characters must clap when a guest walks in. But here's the catch. If you never leave, they have to keep clapping forever. 3 rules Disneyland mascots have to follow every day. First, if a guest's shirt has an alcohol or political logo, the character has to subtly cover it in photos. So when Goofy's hand mysteriously lands on your chest, he's not flirting, he's doing brand control. Next, there can be 2 cast members playing Mickey Mouse in one day, but you'll never catch 2 Mickeys in the same place, no matter how big the park is. Lastly, when a costume head is used for the day, it's tagged and taken out of rotation. It can't be worn again until it is cleaned. Here's how to lift the sword in stone at Disneyland. Firstly, you need to know the sword doesn't magically move. It's secretly controlled by a nearby cast member with a button. So if you act like a wide-eyed first-timer or loudly mention it's your birthday, you just might accidentally become worthy. But you see, rumor has it that if you find the nearby cast member with a messenger bag and slide them a crisp 20, the sword will suddenly become very cooperative. Once you lift it, you'd be knighted with a shiny medallion and a paper certificate proving your heroism. But that was over 10 years ago. Disney doesn't do that anymore. These are the craziest rides Disneyland has ever built. First is the Canal Boats of the World. This ride was supposed to let guests cruise past beautifully detailed miniature landmarks. But on opening day, the landscaping wasn't finished, so guests basically paid to float slowly past piles of dirt, making it the only Disney ride where guests left thinking, wow, that mud really told a story. Next is Snow White's Enchanted Wish. Believe it or not, guests used to steal the poisoned apple prop from the queue, so Disney replaced it with a projected illusion, and the ride itself was made from Snow White's point of view, but many guests didn't know that, so they kept looking for her. And finally is the Mad Tea Party. When it first opened, the teacups had 0 brakes, which meant guests could spin it as fast as their arms allowed. Literally a mad tea party. This is how Disneyland princesses manage to never break character. First, there's something called the Rule of One, meaning there's only one Cinderella, one Mickey, one Elsa, and Disney cast fully commit to this belief like it's a law of physics. Next, each princess keeps a little mental cheat sheet of safe, magical replies. So if someone asks something random like, "Do you pay rent?" they can reply with, "Oh, I just love warm hugs," and keep it moving like a royal pro. And last but not least, cast members start acting like their character before they even hit the stage. Some even snap into princess mode as soon as they leave their house. This is what Disneyland looked like on opening day. Back then, real horses and wagons roamed Main Street, and the only vehicles here are in Autopia, which by that time didn't have the metal line to keep you from bumping into someone. So here we see Frank Sinatra driving his way. And speaking of famous faces, one of the opening hosts was Ronald Reagan, who eventually would become president just 25 years later. Most importantly, here we see one of the only times in history the castle drawbridge was lowered, giving way to Disneyland's very first guest to go inside. Then came Walt Disney himself, arriving at the park alongside this slightly creepy-looking Mickey Mouse from that era, welcoming everyone with the most legendary speech in Disneyland history.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Insane myths about Disneyland cast members. First, people think Mickey would keep smiling even if the castle caught fire. But no, performer safety comes first. Each costume character has secret signals to alert attendants, who swoop in like the Secret Service of smiles to get them out fast. Next, many guests tend to believe cast members can't ever say no. But sometimes safety has to come before the magic. Saying, "We can't let you do that" is much safer than, "Sure, climb that electric fence." Lastly, rumors suggest guys in Hawaiian shirts are actually park security. Truth is, he's probably just on vacation like you. In reality, undercover security members come in all shapes and sizes. They don't all look like they just left a Jimmy Buffett concert. Disneyland rules that make no sense. First, the moment you walk through those gates, you're technically auditioning for Disney commercials for free. The fine print says they can use your face and voice for any purpose. So hope you smiled on Main Street because you might already be on a billboard in Tokyo. Next, Disney reserves the right to remove anyone wearing clothing they find inappropriate, but what counts as offensive is totally up to them. So while your shirt may be fine at the mall, Disneyland might consider it one churro away from corrupting the youth. Lastly, outside booze is strictly forbidden. Well, understandable. But if you're in the right Disney park, you can buy a $17 cocktail named after a fictional space creature. 3 things only Disney characters can do that other cast members can't. First, because fur characters can't talk, they rely on hand gestures, exaggerated body language, and the occasional overly dramatic head nod to communicate, which is better than answering complex guest questions from guests like other cast members. Mickey just hugs a toddler and wins everyone's heart without saying a word. Next, face characters and regular cast members have to keep a permanent grin like they're powered by caffeine and fairy dust. Mascot performers, on the other hand, can look jolly on the outside all the while slowly getting cooked in their own sweat. Lastly, because their suits are like portable saunas, fur characters get shorter sets on hot days. While regular cast members stand in the sun like rotisserie chickens, Goofy, on the other hand, gets whisked away every 20 minutes for a water break. 3 things you didn't know about wearing the Mickey suit. First, because Mickey Mouse is so bulky, you can't just wave to someone normally, you have to commit like you're signaling aircraft to land.
Hey!
Every gesture has to scream you're having fun. Next, the good thing about playing Mickey is that you don't get to talk, but the bad part about it is that you don't get to talk. The suit is not soundproof, so you'd have to hold your sneeze, cough, or fart, especially near guests. Lastly, every character performer is assigned to a height family, which means if you fit Mickey's range, you might also play Chip, Dale, or even a dwarf on rotation. Only Disney characters are allowed to do this. Firstly, unlike good old cast members who are stuck in their assigned zones, Mickey can wander around like he owns the place, which, to be fair, he kinda does. He can show up anywhere, behind a parade float, beside Space Mountain, maybe even photobombing your lunch. Try that as a ride operator and see what happens. Next, fur characters get to live double lives. Nobody knows who's behind the giant smiling head. Princesses, on the other hand, have their faces out in the open and can't exactly say, "I'm off duty" when a kid recognizes them. Lastly, starting as a character performer is usually the stepping stone to becoming a Disney princess. The height and body type requirements often overlap. Today you're Goofy, tomorrow you're Belle. 3 psychological tricks Disney princesses use on guests. First, every meet and greet follows the handler triangle formation, basically consisting of you, the princess, and the handler. They feed the topics, keep the line flowing, and bail out Ariel if she forgot her lines. Next, Disney princesses use a classic improv move called a status flip, where they pretend the kid's the expert. They'll say things like, "Will you show me your royal twirl?" instantly turning a shy child into a confident ballroom teacher in about 5 seconds flat. Lastly, handlers sometimes give shy kids a small mission, like show Rapunzel your braid before they approach. It turns the meeting into a game and helps the child feel brave. 3 things only Disney custodians are allowed to do that other cast members can't. First, only custodians are allowed to make water art, drawing Disney characters on the ground using brooms and buckets. They can also become officially certified Disney water artists after training. Yes, that's an actual title. Next, unlike other cast members, no 2 days are the same for custodians. They are always assigned to different lands each day, so they get the full park experience. And this is because, lastly, custodians talk to more guests than almost anyone else in the park. They're a walking combo of guest services, GPS, ride time tracker, missing person locator, and restaurant critic, all packed into one uniform. 3 bizarre secrets you didn't know about being a fur character at Disneyland. First, Mickey's outfit isn't one giant costume. It's a system of detachable layers that makes changing faster than you can say, "Oh boy." That's why Sorcerer Mickey and Classic Mickey might just be the same performer 10 minutes apart. Next, many guests assume fur characters see through their eyes, but some performers actually look through a hidden mesh in the mouth or nose. So when they lean in, they're not sniffing you, they're just trying to see. Lastly, not all fur characters suffer equally. Donald Duck is heavy on the body, while Mickey Mouse, on the other hand, can use his head to anchor a ship. 3 psychological tricks Disney cast members use on you. First, instead of saying, "You have to wait here," cast members might ask, "Would you like to wait here or over in the shade?" It's the same outcome, but it sounded like you had a choice. Next, cast members might call you Princess or Your Highness, drawing you deeper into the fantasy. It's customer service disguised as flattery, making the interaction feel magical as you naturally slip into the story, with the next chapter being spending $200 on a souvenir. Lastly, compliments are their social lubricant. Before asking you to do anything, they'll often start with, "That's such a cool hat," a quick charm move that makes you instantly more receptive when they follow with, "Could you stop blocking the walkway?" 3 confessions from former Disneyland cast members. Firstly, some cast members claim characters get grabbed, hit, or shoved more often than people realize. In one case, the culprits were banned from every Disney park on Earth, proof that Goofy can, in fact, press charges. Next, believe it or not, you're always being watched at Disneyland. One worker recalled 3 CMs swooping in to handle a situation before guests even realized something was wrong. But most importantly, many cast members share countless ghost stories, from Walt's spirit roaming his old office to Mr. One-Way riding Space Mountain. Even It's a Small World has paranormal rumors, because apparently that song isn't cursed enough already. These are rules Disney princesses are legally required to follow. First, everyone knows Disney princesses can't gain weight, but surprise, they also can't lose it. They're expected to keep the exact same body type as required for their character. 1 donut too many or 1 salad too successful and you're no longer fit. Next, once you're cast as a Disney princess, you don't get to choose your castle. If you auditioned for Disneyland in Anaheim, but the park in Paris needs a new belle, you might have to say bonjour whether you're ready or not. Lastly, Disney's on-stage policy bans food, drinks, and anything non-magical while in character. Even if you're starving, you can't nibble a turkey leg in front of guests. The dream might be magical, but the hunger is very real. 3 times Disneyland absolutely clowned Universal. First, when Universal tried to lure Southern Californian tourists who are already bored of Disneyland, Disney then built a second Disneyland right next to Disneyland and called it Disney California Adventure. Next, Universal's Florida contract basically handcuffed Disney World from ever touching Marvel. So Mickey found a loophole the size of Thor's hammer and swung it by building Avengers Campus in Disneyland instead. Lastly, Universal owns the horror scene with Halloween Horror Nights, so Disneyland created Oogie Boogie Bash, with the main selling point being guests can now wear costumes. What happens when a Disney princess breaks character? First, the moment they did something out of character, say Elsa slapped a guest with a turkey leg, her attendant will jump in fast to reset the scene and try to steer the talk elsewhere. But if the moment's too far gone, the attendant will escort the princess off stage like a polite royal extraction mission. After that, management might quietly reassign them. Some get moved to fur characters like Mickey or Goofy for a while. But if someone caught the turkey slap on video and it went viral, that's a cause for an instant royal demotion. Disneyland Imagineers are a genius for doing this. Firstly, the castle and almost every building in the park aren't as tall as your brain thinks it is. Imagineers use something called forced perspective. Each floor gets smaller the higher it goes, creating the illusion of great height. Next, some ride queues have strategically placed buttons or interactive elements you can play with to keep you busy in a 50-minute line. And Imagineers actually study how you interact with them for future developments. Lastly, Imagineers hate repetition as much as you do. So some rides secretly switch routes or scenes, giving you a slightly different experience each time. Indiana Jones and Pirates of the Caribbean are a great example of no two rides feeling exactly the same. The hidden catch behind working as a Disney princess. First, every princess has a magical quota, around 172 guests per hour, and attendants actually carry clickers to count every handshake, photo, and interaction with each guest. If the numbers dip too low, the princess will get reprimanded, and 4 reprimands could mean they're one slipper away from being unemployed. Next, even out of costume, performers must stay invisible to guests. Getting recognized outside of work is a huge no-no. If someone recognizes you, it breaks the illusion and your contract as well. Lastly, Disney princesses have a shelf life, and it's surprisingly short. Most performers age out of face roles in their late 20s, even if they still look the part. 3 signs a cast member might be giving you special treatment. First, if a cast member greets you with a "welcome back" or "happy to see you again," it usually means they've noticed you before and you've already made a good lasting impression. Either that or your annual pass is hanging off your shirt. Next, line skipping at Disney is a sacred and rare thing, unless you have a fast pass. But if a CM suddenly guides you past 100 tired guests waiting in line all the way up to the front, that's not just a magic moment, but Disney-level favoritism right there. Lastly, if a cast member opens a restricted section or a newly restricted land just for you, you've either done something very right or your last name is Disney. 3 things banned in other theme parks but allowed in Disneyland. First, most theme parks treat outside food like contraband, but Disneyland literally gives you a picnic area. They even encourage guests to stash meals with jumbo lockers between the gates. Next, at Six Flags or Cedar Point, pulling out your phone mid-ride is basically asking to get banned, or lose your phone to gravity. But Disneyland is actually fine with this as long as your camera's secure and not about to smack Goofy in the face. Lastly, because Disneyland leans more on family-friendly, they have a long list of rides with no height requirement, meaning even a baby with no neck control can technically enjoy Pirates of the Caribbean. What if Disneyland gave away tickets for free? Believe it or not, this actually happened back in 2010. Disney launched a charity campaign called Give a Day, Get a Disney Day, where doing one good deed could earn you a full day with Mickey. The only problem is, everyone wanted a Disney Day, so over 1 million people signed up in just 10 weeks. Volunteer websites crashed and charities were overwhelmed with people trying to do good. Everyone scrubbing graffiti off walls like it was their golden ticket to see Mickey. The promotion was supposed to last an entire year, but Disney had to end the campaign early because kindness got completely out of hand. Here's how to sleep in Cinderella's castle at Disneyland. First, Disney occasionally hides tiny sweepstakes in promo emails or obscure event pages, and every now and then they sneak in a Dream Suite night as the top prize. The 60th anniversary Diamond Days promo did exactly that, mixing in-park codes with online entries to win limited edition souvenirs, vouchers, and, oh yeah, a night in Cinderella Castle, like it's no big deal. But other than those contests, they also use the Cinderella Castle Suite as a fundraising weapon, auctioning off one-night stays for a good cause. draws. One previous winner said their stay came with a private car pickup, a VIP plaid tour guide around the park, dinner at the royal table, and reserved spots for parades and fireworks. They even got a $1,000 Disney gift card for meals for the week. Only Disney princesses know about this. First, Disney princesses have secret gestures they use when something feels off during a meet and greet. A simple movement like adjusting a glove, placing a hand on their hip, or subtly nodding can alert their attendant to step in without breaking the magic. Next, before being crowned, new princesses go through what's basically royal boot camp. Day one is all movies and mimicry, learning the exact voice, walk, and attitude of their character, while day two is a live test performing meet and greets under strict supervision. Lastly, guests often assume the princess picks which child to greet first, but the real puppet master is her attendant. Standing nearby, they subtly point, nod, or signal where her gaze should go next. Every reason Disneyland may deny you entry. First, if you're 14 or older, dressing up like a princess like Elsa will get you frozen at the gate. Disney wants to prevent guests mistaking you for the real deal. They may also deny entry if your too good to be true ticket came from Craigslist and cost less than a churro because it's usually fake. Scammers resell multi-day passes and the scanner catches them instantly. But if you bought your ticket from the official store and it still doesn't work, it might be the wrong one. Guests often bring a California Adventure ticket, then confidently walk up to the Disneyland gate. You can also get flagged for park hopping too fast. If you scan into California Adventure, then go to Disneyland right away, the system assumes you're sharing a ticket. And finally, Disneyland sometimes hits max capacity, especially on holidays. When that happens, the gates close, and all you can do is listen to It's a Small World mocking you from outside. Only famous celebrities are allowed to do this in Disneyland. Firstly, Disney doesn't let them walk amongst the crowds, they move through backstage. And before you call it favoritism, it's actually to stop a celebrity from becoming the park's newest unplanned character meet and greet with a queue longer than Mickey's. Next, when regular people like us get banned, it starts immediately, like the exact second we accidentally punch Goofy in the face. But when Rebel Wilson did exactly what her first name suggests and took a forbidden photo in a secret park bathroom, Disney banned her for 30 days, and then politely asked which 30 days she didn't want to come, letting her schedule her own punishment. Lastly, believe it or not, even prestigious Club 33 members aren't safe from celebrities. One member shared, they were once all asked to leave the club mid-afternoon because Forrest Gump, aka Woody, apparently wants a private dinner. You didn't know Disney cast members are allowed to do this. Firstly, before Lightning Lane existed, cast members used to have the magical power to hand out free fast passes to random guests just because they were having a good day. And this wasn't the regular kind. This was the Golden Dream Fast Pass, which unlocked every ride in the area with back-to-back usage and zero cooldown. Next, if your Mickey ice cream bar did a backflip into the pavement or a bird plopped their excess to your Dole Whip, cast members can quietly pull out a magical form called No Strings Attached. That gets you free food replacement, merchandise, front-of-line passes, or sometimes even clothes and park re-entry. Lastly, during 2006 to 2008, Disney ran the Year of a Million Dreams, where a computer randomly picked a location in the park, and the next guest to walk through it would win just a small little prize called One Night in Cinderella's Castle. 3 rules Disney princesses have to follow when talking to kids. First, princesses are trained to notice the little happy birthday or first visit pins you wear. They'll use them as a way to strike up a personalized in-character chat. Next, even though it sounds adorable, princesses aren't allowed to hold infants. It's too risky, too heavy, too lawsuity. The most they can do is a side pose or have the parents hold the baby next to them. Lastly, princesses can't ever make real-world promises like, I'll see you on the parade float, or I'll ride Space Mountain with you later, but she can promise to tell Olaf you said hello. 3 things kids can do that adults can't in Disneyland. Firstly, Disney rules say anyone 14 and up can't wear costumes unless it's a rare special event. Kids, on the other hand, can strut down Main Street in full princess gowns or Mandalorian armor while adults are stuck Disney bounding and pretending a yellow cardigan makes them Belle. Next, Disney follows a no sad child culture where dropped ice cream, popped balloons, or spilled snacks magically get replaced so the child doesn't melt down. Adults sometimes get a replacement too, although most of the time that'll be $6.75. Lastly, if a kid fails the height requirement, CMs sometimes give them a special comeback card so they can ride it later without waiting in line. Adults never get this because, unfortunately, no one is out here checking if a 35-year-old finally grew another inch. 3 rules Disney princesses have to follow when taking photos with guests. First, no guest accessories are allowed on a princess's outfit. Not your tiara, your Mickey ears, or your uncle's fishing hat. It's not about being snobby. It's more about keeping the royal character costume consistent for every photo. Next, when there's a long line of eager guests, princesses are told to limit each group to just a couple of photos. Think 2, maybe 3 if you're lucky. But if you find one alone and there's no line in sight, she might chat with you for a full 10 minutes straight. Lastly, no matter how much guests beg, princesses can't do dances, dabs, or any TikTok trends. It's not that they don't know how, it's just not very storybook appropriate. Seeing Cinderella floss mid-photo would break character integrity and quite possibly a few NDAs. These are all the ways to get banned from Disneyland. First, trying to cut in line by claiming your family is waiting up ahead is the oldest trick in the book, and Disney has read that book twice, so cast members don't buy the just catching up story anymore. Another thing is smuggling alcohol into Disneyland. If you can't enjoy the happiest place on earth without getting tipsy, maybe you shouldn't go in the first place. If you need a buzz that bad, just ride the teacups 5 times in a row. Also, many guests have been banned for impersonating employees. Wearing a fake Disney name tag or dressing up like a cast member when you're not on payroll is basically fraud. And believe it or not, someone actually tried to square up with Goofy and lost. Getting banned is one thing, but losing to a 6-foot cartoon dog in blue pants is quite the damage. Only Disney princesses aren't allowed to do this. Firstly, princesses don't get to stay royalty forever. They're usually hired in their late teens, but once they start creeping into their late 20s or early 30s, they begin looking older than the animated version. So the glass slipper stops fitting and suddenly they're back to Pluto. Regular cast members, on the other hand, can work in their roles for decades and literally outlast half the rides. Next, everyone knows princesses aren't allowed to say they are the character. They can only say they're friends with them, which sounds like the worst superhero cover story. Thankfully, ride operators don't have to say they're close friends with Big Thunder Mountain. They just admit they work there and clock in. Lastly, working as a Disney princess means giving up parts of your own identity and becoming a completely different person every time you clock in. Meanwhile, someone like Tex from Texas will always be Tex from Texas, unless he misplaces his name tag and temporarily becomes Chris from Orlando. These are the craziest ways people tried to sneak into Disneyland. Firstly, many adults try folding themselves into strollers to pass as children, although it usually never works because the stroller always looks like it's carrying a full refrigerator. Next, some guests tried swimming across the moat, not knowing water sensors trigger cameras instantly. By the time they reach land, cast members are already waiting, both amused and unamused. People also hand over expired tickets from years ago, hoping some magic still remains. But of all Disneyland's machines, this one never malfunctions and always flags them instantly. Aside from that, some desperate guests without a ticket even jump the front gate to try vanishing into Main Street, but they usually land wrong, trip immediately, or get caught mid-jump by an unimpressed cast member. Lastly, dressing as a vendor is one of the boldest and rarest attempts. Someone thought, if I dress like the churro guy, I am the churro guy. That is, until the staff asks for an ID. Here's why you don't want to play a Disneyland princess. First, if you're playing Snow White, the last thing Disney wants is snow beige. Pale princesses are forbidden from tanning, so even spending too long in the parking lot feels like breaking company policy. SPF 100 is part of the costume. Next, Disney wants every performer for a princess role to look nearly identical, like clones from a sparkly genetics lab. Tattoos, piercings, or features that stand out from other performers can instantly ruin your chances. Lastly, wearing your princess costume off Disney property is one of the biggest sins you can commit. Once you're outside the park, you can't go around grocery shopping looking like Belle. Here's one secret for every popular Disneyland ride. In It's a Small World, the dolls don't stop moving at night even after the park closes. What's creepier is that their hair actually grows, supposedly from moisture in the water, or so they say. Then in Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, the goat trick actually works. If you stare at the goat holding dynamite during the drop, your brain feels stronger sideways forces, making the ride seem faster. In Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, unlike the book, the ride ends with you dying and going to cartoon cartoon hell. Walt Disney approved it, and that wave of heat is real hot air, not your guilty conscience. In Rise of the Resistance, the ride uses 4 systems: pre-show, shuttle, trackless chase, and drop, which is exactly why it breaks down so often and takes forever to reset. And if you want to impress your friends in Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters, grab the gun fast and shoot Zurg's chest in the first room because it gives 50,000 points each hit. 3 things you'll never see a Disney princess do in public. Firstly, Disney makes sure 2 of the same princesses never appear in the same area, or a kid's brain might explode from confusion. Former performers say they're assigned to separate corners of the park so Cinderella never accidentally bumps into Cinderella. Next, princess performers can't lean on walls, cross their arms, or look even 1% tired. The Disney look requires perfect posture and constant engagement. So even in 100-degree heat, Aurora has to look like she just woke up from the most refreshing nap of her life. Lastly, princesses follow strict autograph rules. They can't sign skin, money, tickets, paperwork, or anything that looks official. So if someone tries to legally marry Snow White using a form they printed at home, that dream dies fast. How much does it cost to run Disneyland for a day? Every ride, from Space Mountain to the Teacups, goes through daily safety inspections, with each costing around $7,400. And with 52 rides, that's nearly $500,000 gone before the first guest even walks in. Then we have the mountain of expenses for food and merch restocks. Add in the boring stuff like water, electricity, and security. Now onto the fun side. We have the nighttime fireworks, and every 16-minute spectacular burns through about $50,000 worth of pyrotechnics just to light up the sky. But the biggest expense of it all, the heart of Disneyland runs on a small army of about 6,000 cast members, from churro sellers to ride operators, all making around $21 an hour. Their combined pay adds up to over $10 million a day. Put it all together, and Disneyland's operating costs sits at roughly $11.5 million a day. That's $8,000 every minute just to keep the magic alive. Disney cast members don't want you knowing about this. First, you might think you're slick pretending to be a single rider just to skip the line, but cast members can instantly tell when you're trying to skip the line with your actually stranger friend behind the queue. Depending on how full the ride is, they might just let it go or make you join the herd again. Next, there's a secret Disney code that guests almost never hear and most guests don't want to hear, and that's code 82, which is short for ate too much. It's the polite coded way to flag that someone might not fit safely in a seat or restraint. It's said quietly between staff and never out loud. Some magical moments you see in the park, like a child getting an unexpected gift, are actually pre-scripted tasks. Cast members often have daily magic missions to perform, such as letting a kid find Nemo or giving away a treat. The surprise is still real, it's just preloaded into the day's show. Everything you shouldn't do while in Disneyland. Firstly, some rides are dark on purpose, but even with no flash signs everywhere, people still light up scenes and ruin the immersion. The photos never look good, but that doesn't stop anyone. Next, strollers are meant for children, yet many guests arrive with strollers full of everything except a child. Instead, it's filled with snacks, merch bags, and possibly one exhausted uncle. You'll also find tons of videos from no photography zones, because apparently massive signs aren't enough. Guests still film backstage hallways or record animatronic shows that specifically say not to. The single rider line is another rule people break constantly. It clearly says you'll be separated, but families still line up together, hoping the universe magically seats them side by side. Lastly, some guests treat quick service tables like long-term real estate, holding them long before ordering or long after eating, ignoring the desperate stares of tableless families. Here's the only way to get inside Disneyland's Club 33 without a membership. First, there's an Adventures by Disney tour through Los Angeles that costs roughly $3,000 to $4,000 per person. It visits several Disney landmarks and sometimes includes breakfast at, you guessed it, Club 33. Next, some companies have a corporate Club 33 membership, which allows employees to visit on business perks. Usually, it's limited to about 9 guests per reservation, so you'll need to sweet talk whoever manages HR benefits. But if you can't do either of those two, technically you could sneak up the white staircase near Blue Bayou, tiptoe across the balcony, and slip through the door on the left. Disney cast members can never do this while on duty. First, cast members are trained to move fast but never break into a full sprint. This is because doing so makes guests think something's wrong. If a CM runs 12 miles per hour in Fantasyland, a manager will usually pull them aside and ask, "Do you know why I stopped you?" before being handed a speeding ticket. Just kidding. Next, cast members aren't allowed to hold super personal props like engagement rings, sonogram photos, or pregnancy tests for your big reveal. They can pose next to you, act thrilled, and do the whole excited character routine, but the actual life announcement stays in your hands. Lastly, at one point in time, CMs were told not to say the word cast member in front of guests because that sounds like insider company jargon. So what were they called before? Everything in Disneyland that sounds fake but is actually real. Firstly, the park once had a real gun shop where visitors, including kids, could buy antique firearms and wander around like it was the Wild West. And back in the 60s, it basically was. Not only that, but they also had shooting galleries that fired actual lead pellets and even .22 caliber rifles for the friends and families to use. Next, if you're hungry, so are the trains and boats. The Disneyland Railroad and the Mark Twain Riverboat are partly powered by recycled cooking oil from the park's own kitchens, even to this day. Basically the circle of life, but greasier. Between 1956 and 1965, Disneyland used to let guests rent fishing poles and catch real fish in the rivers of America. They'd even clean and ice your fish so you could take it home. So you not only leave with a souvenir, but with dinner as well. Lastly, Disneyland has an official leprechaun resident named Patrick Bagora, who lives in a tiny Adventureland treehouse. Whether he pays rent or not is still unknown. What if Disneyland stays open 24 hours a day? To keep the park running non-stop, Disney would need 3 full shifts of workers. Around 18,000 employees rotating just to keep churros frying, rides spinning, and bathrooms spotless around the clock. Crowds would surge during the day, then drop to a few insomniac dads and ghost hunters levels after midnight. Disney might even sell daytime and nighttime passes to split the flow. But here's the catch. Anaheim bans loud sounds after 10 p.m., meaning no fireworks, no parades, no blasting music. Basically, no magic. And since Disneyland barely survives a normal day without breaking, a 24-hour day would probably destroy the park. 3 Disneyland VIP experiences normal guests can actually buy. First, for people who think Disneyland isn't Disneyland enough, you can ask Mickey to build you a custom event, maybe a villains-themed feast or a private Avengers campus party, all priced by a Contact Us button because that's how you know it's expensive. Next, if you wanted something better like a royal feast Walt Disney would have hosted for about $15,000, you and 11 guests of your choosing get a 7-course gourmet dinner inside his former dream suite above New Orleans Square. Just so you know, you can split the cost. Lastly is the ultimate Disney experience. With the Disneyland Resort VIP tour, you get a private guide who will plan the entire trip for you, get you first-row parade spots, and even literally skip you past the lines. It costs around $700 an hour with a 7-hour minimum. Disneyland cast members should never break these rules. Firstly, cast members are never allowed to say, "lost child." It's always the parents that are lost. This makes the kid feel better and doesn't trigger public panic. Next, if you operate rides, you can't wear an Apple Watch, smart device, or anything that buzzes, pings, or steals your attention. More importantly, you cannot eat, sip water, or chew gum in front of guests, even if it's 105 degrees and you're dressed as Goofy. If you're on stage, you're not a human being with needs. You're a character, and characters don't hydrate. Worst of all, if you lose your name tag, you get a temporary one, but it might not be your real name. Disney name tags only use first names, and if someone already claimed Ashley, you might be wearing Bertha all week. Lastly, cast members don't say line, they say queue. They don't say employee, they say cast member. They also don't get stressed out. They politely malfunction in silence.